Two, 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 do, do. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. I am an artist, and I will be drawing with you guys today. Man, I just dropped my water. Anyways, have a wonderful day, everybody. How's everybody doing? I would like to go over what we went over on the last stream, first of all, like we always do, while I get some people actually in the stream. And we talked about feet. Last time that we were drawing, we talked about feet. And we also talked about mouths and how to approach the teeth, how to approach facial expressions, and we talked a little bit about how the jaw works with the skeleton. We also drew a bunch of lips, and we talked a little bit about how to position that in the face. This video is on YouTube if you guys feel like going and learning a little bit about faces. So today, I just felt like drawing. I just met up with one of my apprentices, my new apprentices, and she is so excited to actually learn, which is fantastic. I'm going to clean my lens for a little bit. Hold on. There you go. So I met with an apprentice today, and I have another one tonight. And it's been very interesting. It's always interesting learning from a new person, trying to figure out exactly what kind of person they are, what kind of art they're going to create, and their goals. It's always fascinating to me to see what everybody's goals are with art, because no two people have the same goals. No one has exactly the same concept in their brain as to what they want as their final outcome with their art. And here is a question that I'm going to ask all 24 of you that are in the chat right now, okay? And this is something that I ask every single one of my apprentices, so if you can answer it, that'd be fantastic. 1, why do you do art? Why are you into art? What makes you love art as much as you do? That is the number one question that I like to ask people. Second question that I like to ask my apprentices is, what is the end goal with your art? What do you want to accomplish with it? Let's say that everything goes perfect in your career. Absolutely everything goes perfect. Where are you in 10 years? Where is your career if everything went perfect and you had absolutely everything that you wanted from art? I have been practicing the beanbag, yay! Because I love being able to create things and form in my head. That's awesome. But is that just the end goal? Like being able to create things? Once you do that, you're going to be satisfied with your career? Bloodstain Axe, art helps me express how I feel because I'm not good at doing it in person. Oh, that's fantastic. I am the same way. It might seem like I'm a very charismatic personality when it comes down to when I'm talking and teaching, but in all reality, I'm a very isolated person. I very rarely talk to people, and I very rarely go outside of my house. I like my solitude, and I like my solitude. I don't like my life being affected by other people. So I stay in my house a lot. This is my own little temple of solitude, and no one can bug me here. So no one can affect me, no one can hurt me, no one can make me feel bad. This is my home. So I like being in my home as much as possible. I have all my toys, I have all my creation stuff here. Why would I ever want to go to a bar and be in a loud, obnoxious place with people that I do not want to date or talk to, that have completely different, personality types. They have different goals in mind for their lives. They probably see life a very, very different way than me. And I'm not going to meet a like-minded person when it comes down to going to a bar. I'm just not. Because I'm not a drinker. I'm not a partier. So what's the purpose of me going to a bar? Absolutely none. I don't even like alcohol. I drink sometimes whenever I go out because, that's the social stigma. Oh, you have a drink when you go out. But I don't enjoy it. It's not tasty. It's not going to make me feel better. If anything, it's just going to make me feel like shit the next day. So I have to like find excuses to force myself to actually join in, more so than excuses to actually do that. Like I find myself finding excuses not to do it. Oh, I'm on medication. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I need to be focused or whatever. More so than me like, oh my god, I want to get shit faced. I want to just go get drunk and get like. I see absolutely no point in that. So those situations are just not conducive for me. So I prefer a night staying home, playing games with friends, or even just watching some anime or a new TV show while I draw and just think of new fun things that I can do with my skills than going out, getting shit faced, and then feeling like crap the next day because I drank too much, spent too much money, and got rejected by like 6 girls. Because Rod, when he's drunk, has no inhibitions. So he just if he sees a person he likes, he's gonna be like, "Hey, you're cute. Let me draw you." And that's just not something that I want to pursue at the moment because, quite frankly, I am terrified of going into another serious relationship just simply because of how the last one went. It was a very long relationship in which I dedicated a lot of time and effort, and it just ended like nothing. So I am terrified of also socializing. Being friends with people is fucking terrifying. Like as an adult, it's so much harder to be friends with people. And finding people that you actually tolerate is even harder. Like, so the people that I hang out with, the people that I like spend time with, they have to be more important or uh, more of a presence to me than my own calm. My own solitude brings me a lot of peace. So if you want to be part of my life, you have to outbeat that like solitude happiness that I get. If that makes any sense at all. If you break my calm, I will eliminate you from my life so quick. Like, I don't even play around with that shit anymore. Like, if you bring drama to my life, you are out. You have literally no say in any aspect of anything. And I am just at that point where I'm like, I'm just so fed up with giving people my energy and not getting anything in return that I'd rather just give myself that energy and fuck everybody. Like, no one's going to be my number one cheerleader more than myself. No one is going to support the goals that I want to do more than myself. And that has been very clear, very, very clear in my life. If you are not your best fan, if you are not your number one supporter, that's gonna suck. Because if you rely on other people's, like love and affection and everything to carry you through, and you don't do that for yourself, I have come to figure that you can't do that. It's impossible to find happiness through someone else, and then just expecting everything to work fine and dandy for you. You need to learn to be your own fan, your own follower, your own number one, like, dude, like your own ride or die. That's who you have to be. And if you're not, there's going to be a time where you are going to be presented with the option of either having to sacrifice something that you wanted to do to make someone else happy, or you're going to do your own thing and you're going to push through by yourself. You're either going to push through alone or you're going to compromise with others. And those are the only two paths that that there is, really. You can either compromise or you can push through. And when you push through by yourself, a lot of the times it's a very lonely road, man. It's a very lonely road. Like, people will not follow you if they feel like you're overshadowing them. People will not follow you if they feel like you're taking the lead over them. People will not follow you if they feel like you are leaving them in the dust. People will not follow you if you decide that your priorities overshadow theirs. People will not follow you if you don't comply to everything they say sometimes. And people will not follow you if your dreams are bigger than them. Okay? All those aspects will eliminate certain people from your life. And it's up to you to decide if you want to actually allow them to, or if you want to actually see what you are made of and pursue and challenge yourself to be the best that you can be, regardless of what other people's uncomfortable level is. If something you do makes someone uncomfortable, that's on them. That's not on you. Let them figure that shit out. Okay? It's not up to you to comply to everything that other people do. It's not up to you to make other people happy. You take care of you, and then what's left over can be, used to help other people out. Let's see if I can draw like some decent legs. Yeah, I've come to realize that a lot lately. Like, I think over the last 7 months that I've been, 7 or 8 months that I've been single, I have accomplished more and I have succeeded and pushed forth more than I have over the last 5 years of, of like compromising my visions and my thoughts and my actions for someone else. In a single year, in less than a year, I have accomplished more bucket list items than I had with what I thought was support, but it wasn't. It was more so like, just complacency. And once you just become complacent with something, man, it eats up at you, Not sure I like that leg. It looks too fibery. So what do we do when we mess up with pen? What do? We cover that shit up. We cover that shit up and we redraw it. Boom. Let me get my scissors. Where are my scissors? Where are my scissors? Oh, no scissors. I guess we will have to do it the old school way. We bend the paper, increase it. If you guys ever did any paper planes when you were little, this is like the easiest way to rip paper. Boom. Okay, so going back to our pelvic bone. I think what was mistaken here is that I didn't give myself space for my groin. So my groin would be around here. Okay? So that would be like my bikini line, my bathing suit line, my junk line, whatever you want to call it. Okay? And from there, that's where the legs come out. So if you ever have a problem figuring out exactly how your legs go, your leg muscles wrap around your pelvic bone, right? This is your pelvic bone, essentially, my underwear. The leg comes out slightly at an angle, and then it comes down. You can do the same thing with both legs. And that is going to be the relative angle of your legs. You can change that to be more back. You can do that to be more forward, crossing them, whatever. But that's going to be the general range of your legs. They're going to be coming out from this area too. So whatever you decide to do with that is going to come out of that little pelvic area. That's how you get the little gap in the middle. That's how you see a little bit of your butt behind it whenever you have a big butt, you know. It's the back of your thigh here. The general shape of a thigh is kind of like this. It's like a slightly rounded area on the outside connected to an inside area that has a little bit of soft tissue, which I like to call the squish zones. All the soft tissue are squish zones to me. Okay, so that's the general shape of the upper thigh. I like to include the kneecap within the upper thigh because it kind of moves along with it. And then the calf connects to the back of this muscle around right here, so it overlaps a little bit. Let's figure out what to do with the feet. The feet would be roughly at the edge of the page, apparently, though. So we're just going to draw a little bit of the top of the foot. And we talked about legs in the other video, so if you guys want to learn how to draw legs really easy, go check that out. We talked about the converse looking like system for feet. So if you guys are interested in learning that, you can do that. You can always push it back into perspective as well by just literally shifting the shape back, going tapering down back, and then having the other foot back here, wrapping around for the shoe and converse. A little bit of a shadow. Okay, so now we zoom out. We have one leg going back into perspective. We have one leg forward, and we have the rest of our body. The arm, they are layered in such ways. Hold on. I have a little chart that I made before. Where is my little chart for the chest? Oh, wow, I think I threw it away. So I guess we are making a new chart for the chest. Here it is. Never mind. So the chest and the shoulder muscles, they stack up like this, okay? They are going to layer in exactly this way. First, you have your shoulder. Your shoulder is at the top. Then you have your pectoral muscle. Your pectoral muscle comes out of your collarbone, and it merges into the inside of your shoulder. And then your bicep comes out from underneath both of those. So if you have both of those, the bicep goes underneath both of those. And then you have your rib cage, which is underneath all those. Okay? So if you think about it, go 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single time that you want to layer, muscles, if you want to have like a super buff dude or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And that is how you layer the muscles in order to make them look nice and bulgy and perfect. How to draw hands, huh? Well, we'll get to the hands. We'll work our way down. Okay, so we have our bicep, our arms. So we have our shoulder for our arm. We have the pectoral muscle coming out of the shoulder. Then we have the bicep coming from underneath those two. The bicep, the big bulgy part of your bicep is inside. You have your tricep on the outside, but you wouldn't see it from this angle. Then you go down into a little empty cavity right here. This little tiny, like, empty hole. So you have a little bit of space, and then you have your forearm. Your forearm is essentially a drumstick. Think about it like that. Whee. Okay? You have a flat side, and then you have a bulgy side. The bulgy side overlaps into the other side of the arm. So you create this little tiny divot right here. That's the bicep, and that's the forearm muscles going around. Okay? The fibers from the muscles would be something like that. The muscles on the forearm, they wrap around the bone, and that's what creates that little bulge. Okay? You don't really have much muscle coming towards the end of your forearm. So this is bone, that's muscle, and it wraps into the rest of the arm. That's why it's a slightly complicated shape. But if when you break it down very simply, it could be seen like this. As long as you overlap the lines right here and here, you'll end up with a decent looking hand. Okay, so try to draw your arms more like this as opposed to drawing them like this, because this doesn't really give you any overlap. Drawing them like this, it might give you the rotation points of the arm, but it doesn't really teach you how to draw the overlapping shapes that you need for them to look like an arm. Okay, it's just going to help you along the line. So we're going to draw that really quickly. Now, another thing you need to consider is which way the big bulgy muscle on your forearm goes. So when your arm is pointing down, the bottom part of your forearm bulges up. When you point your arm up, the top part of your forearm bulges up. So in this case, this person is just standing still. So the bicep is forward, therefore the arm has to be going this way. So the bulgy part is on the bottom because his fist is going to be pointing down, because he's just at a standstill. Okay? Now, if this was pointing forward, if this was pointing up for some reason, right? If the hand was going this way, then this upper part would be bulgy, and this would be flat. That is essentially what happens with the arm. In the forearm, at least. When the arm is pointing down, the under part of the arm gets bulgy. When the arm is pointing up, the upper part of the arm gets bulgy. We'll make the thumb right here. Okay. Bulgy, bulgy. So that's how you distinguish which way the little bulge in the forearm is going to go. Let's build another one right here. Maybe this one will have like, I don't know, just maybe the arm doing something right here. So if we're going to foreshorten this, I got to figure out where my shoulder is going to be, where my wrist is going to be, and then figure out a way to connect those two. That looks okay. And then you draw your fingers. I like to start with the digits, like the tip of the fingers. That way I know exactly where my fingers are going to be laying, and then I draw the rest of my hands. Give a little bit of back, like shadowing, so it looks like it's foreshortened even more. And ta-da! Have a foreshortened hand. All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? Abs. The abs. Okay, abs are actually ridiculously easy to draw. Like, ridiculously easy. So, we're going to have our rib cage, and we talked about making a rib cage out of a beanbag before. And we have a bunch of lessons on those. So, if you guys don't know basic like structure for the body, please go look at those videos, because I explained how to break this down like this. Really easy. Really, really easy. Okay? So, when you have your rib cage, if you want, and we have our underwear for our pelvic bone, right? We talk about that too. We have our undies for our pelvic bone, and we have our rib cage that we designed from a beanbag. From the bottom of your rib cage points in the divot to the middle of your groin or to the side sections of your groin, that provides you your abs. Ta-da! That easy. Now, let's say that you want to have like not six pack, but you want to have a bulgy stomach, right? Well, all this area in between, the area in between the rib cage and the pelvic bone can be any shape you want. So if you want it to be like a really fat person, just add a little bit of a belly to that section. Little love handles, right? You can make this section anything you want because that's where your fat accumulates. So it can be a nice chubby person. It could be a skinny person with like a six pack. Right? All this area in the middle is just the abs presented in any way you want. So when you want to draw someone thicker, just draw them thicker. You can draw this same person right here skinny by just mapping out things differently. Right? You're essentially just adding mass or removing mass from, the sections that you need. So essentially the same thing happens with very, very big people with their rib cages. So let's say we have like a really, really big person that has fat all over, not just on their belly. Right? So we have our beanbag. We have our basic structure consisting of our underwear and our rib cage. Now, if a person is really, really chubby, you very, very rarely see marks like collarbones or like bones sticking out. Essentially, just build on top of your skeletal structure and then just add fat to the parts where there would be fat. For example, around the pelvic area, it tends to bunch up into love handles on the sides because of the hard texture of your pelvic bone, and then the fat being on top of it getting squished by the hard surfaces. So the hard surface of the rib cage squishing down onto this, extra amount of, skin and like body fat creates those lumps. And you have a lot less like definition in your arms. Maybe you want to even distinguish it by giving chubby fingers, by like reducing the size of your fingers. Right? You can increase the size of the booty into the thickness of the legs as long as they come out from that same point, though. They're still coming out from the same point, regardless of how chubby they are. They're coming from the same point. So they have to be originating from that, pelvic bone. And then just like that, you just add thickness to the drawings that you already have. And then you can create a very, a thicker person. Just by adding volume on top of your existing, structure. But you're not just drawing them fat. You're not just going like, I'm just going to draw a person that's really fat. I mean, you can still draw that, but like understanding what you draw will eventually help you so much more down the line. Because you can draw like, chubby people without having to worry about any structure or anything. That's not going to be a problem. Like anybody can do that. But understanding what you're drawing at a base structure, now, for example, if you understand how to make somebody like this, what's keeping you from drawing, a another character like a panda or something like that, right? Now you can just make characters really quickly that have that body structure now, and you can make them into anything you want. In this case, I want to draw a panda, so I'm going to draw a panda. Whee! But understanding the basic structure of a bipedal person or animal or character will allow you to be able to use your imagination in ways that you normally wouldn't if you didn't understand it. This is how you come up with your own style. You figure out the process as to how to create something, and then you deconstruct it in a way that's appealing to you. That is how you create your own style, by figuring out things that you like and then figuring out how to break those down so that you can use them in any way you want. Yay! Let's see. All right, let's see. What else should I talk about in this page? While I rest my hand for a second and take a sip of coffee, I'm going to let you guys choose what we talk about next. So feel free to leave it in the comments, or feel free to just say it in there. This is your time to shine, people. Oh, wow. We had like 7,000 people already in here. That's amazing. Do you memorize all structures of the body? I memorize them as I draw them. Like, I know, for example, at first it was all color-coded for me. So there's a book by Michael Hampton that teaches anatomy. That book essentially set me on the path to be able to understand things because it color-coded things in a way that made sense. So whenever I looked at a shape like the abs, I'd be like, oh, I know that there's a red section next to a yellow section. And if I missed the yellow section, like, I knew that something was off, right? So it'd be color-coded very, not exactly like this, but this would be like the same kind of approach. Like, he just marks everything with different colors in his book. And then slowly you start realizing the similar shapes. Like, for example, here, for like the pattern that goes along with doing the kneecaps and doing the shoulders and doing the elbows is very, very similar. The ankles and the wrists are very, very similar. They act the same way. So every element like that. Oh, also the rib cage and the ankles work in a very similar way as well, by having something that's literally just rotating within. So this whole spinal system is similar to, or like the way that you set this up is very similar to how you would set up an ankle. So a rib cage is a shape with a shape inside, right? That is your rib cage and your abs. Well, your ankle is just your ankle with a shape inside, which is your foot. So visualizing elements like this and having the same characteristics, the same thing with your wrists and with your knees. So if you have your wrist going into your hand is a pivot point. Boom. Right? So you have your hand coming out of that wrist. That Michael Hampton. Oh my god, I keep dropping stuff. Ugh. I keep dropping water too. Just weird. Okay, so Michael Hampton. Ta-da! Look him up. He has a fantastic anatomy book. You might need to like understand a little bit of perspective, like in order to be able to see it, or at least be able to like visualize elements like cylinders. He talks a lot about drawing through the shapes as well, so you need to be able to visualize both sides of elements, the front and the back, and be able to see through the elements so you can map out things on the other side. But that's just a very basic process that you should probably learn anyways. Being able to visualize elements like 3D shapes like this, even if it's not perfect, just being able to understand that there's a front, a back, a roundness to it, and that, you know, things start disappearing on the front and then they can extrude from the front. Things like this, exercises like this, mapping out elements on top of a surface and then trying to bring those out, is a fantastic exercise that will help you with every element of art. Literally, just simple exercises like this will help you draw faces, arms, bodies so much easier. And the little exercise that I was telling people in my last stream, and it's right here, is that if you have a problem drawing something in a certain perspective, just draw a sphere. Let's say you have trouble drawing eyes in 3/4 view, right? Just divide this into a bunch of sections. Just a bunch of sections. Doesn't have to be a certain way or whatever. Okay? And then figure out an area right here. Okay, I'm going to draw an eyeball here. And I'm going to make it look in that perspective, following the lines. Boom. Okay, now I want to draw one right here. Now that eye is looking this way. Oh, I want to have one looking straight at you. I find that little section. I follow the guidelines. And I draw an eye looking that direction. Looking up. I know it has to be within that area, so I draw the shape. And I draw my eye. You can do that with mouths. You can do that with noses. You can do that with everything. So if you have trouble drawing mouths in a certain direction, draw yourself a globe, figure out a line, and then draw a mouth. Oh, you want to draw a mouth from the side? Okay. Draw a mouth. If you want to draw a mouth from the bottom, follow the lines around your shape and draw your mouth. And then you can do that for every side, every angle, and learn how to draw things in every single way you can. Okay? How do you personally add personality to a drawing or character? Well, you need to, in order to put personality into a character, you have to have a personality yourself. So, going out and living life, experiencing things, and actually socializing with human beings and interacting with other people will help you develop that a lot more than trying to figure out a style that's going to make something look like a certain way. Go out and live life. You will develop a style that you want your drawings to be in as long as you go out and live your life. You can't do that if you don't have a character of your own. Let's see. Okay, one more. Noses. Noses are interesting too. So noses are hard for people because they overcomplicate it. Gonna have our globe. Noses are essentially little diamonds that can be broken down into noses. Okay? So if you think about it like a little diamond from the front, right? From the front, it's very easy because that's all you need to map out. and you have a nose, a top and a bottom. So whenever you're drawing noses from in like your globe perspective, it's very easy to just draw a diamond, come up with a bottom and a top. Ba-bum. It doesn't have to be more difficult than what you make it. Oh, you want a big hook nose? Okay, just make the same type of shape, just give it a hook. And then you have a hook nose. You want a little button nose? Fine. Just round out the shape a little bit. And you have a little button nose. Can you do a hand? Let me see if I already have hand tutorials though. Like the hand is a very like interesting shape, and we've talked about this before. We've talked about how it's a Pringle shape, and you know I've gone into like deep like explanation about hands. So I need you guys to go and watch those videos. This is not me trying to like say like, oh, go watch the video so I can get more views. No, I could care less about that. I just want you guys to go listen to that because I spent the whole hour talking about that. And I don't think I can give the same explanation in, you know, a little tiny thing. Especially when I'm trying to focus on different aspects like the forms and stuff like that. So, you know, fingers are easy. Fingers are easy. Fingers are jelly beans. They're just long jelly beans. Long bean bags. Okay? That's all it is. That's all a finger is. A finger is a long beanbag. With depth. That's all a finger is. It's just a beanbag connected to your Pringle, connected to more beanbags. That's all it is. You want a fat finger? Okay. A fat beanbag. So you can think about it as three parts, like a three-part beanbag to make it more accurate. Or you can think about them as two, like, you know, pretty much any Disney movie ever. So you can think about it accurately, you can think about it in cartoony, but essentially it's just a big beanbag. I always make them weird when I'm drawing smaller scale. I mean, if you don't know what you're drawing, if you can't visualize like the shape being like this, if you're just drawing lines, that's why you're having a hard time, because you're not understanding what you're drawing. You're just replicating somebody else's drawing. You need to understand what you're drawing if you want to ever like learn to understand it. So you need to be able to visualize things and break them down in a way that makes sense to you. I'm just giving you guys my own way that I like, that I make sense to me, but it's not by any means the only way to draw. It is not wrong to see it any other way, and there is countless ways that you can visualize it. This is just the way that it makes sense to me. So, you know, I'm just trying to teach you guys my process so that maybe it clicks for some of you. It's not going to work for everyone. You know, it's kind of hard to make a fish climb a tree. So all processes don't work for everybody. And I don't want you guys to think that you're dumb or like, not good enough because you can't grasp the way that I'm explaining it. That's not going to be the case. You know, it just maybe means that your brain works a little bit different than mine. So don't be discouraged. But once you actually discover your process, you can come back and rewatch these videos, and then maybe it'll work and help explain it a little bit better for you then. You know, it's always good to revise content later on once you accumulate a little bit more knowledge and see that if the person that was explaining that content now has a similar mindset than you, and you might be able to actually understand a little bit better now. That's what happened to me when I was watching Vilpu videos lately. Now, one of my apprentice today mentioned them, uh, and I was like, oh my god, yes, I've been watching them like lately too because I've been watching how to like reconstruct the neck and all that stuff again, and it just reminded me of when I started learning how to draw anatomy, or trying to, and Vilpu was one of my biggest influences back then because his stuff is so structured. It's so like amazing, but I unfortunately at the time I couldn't understand what like he was trying to teach because I didn't have a visual reference of how to draw things in 3D. I was still just trying to draw lines instead of trying to draw volume, instead of trying to draw shapes. So it was really hard for me to like follow along. Need to understand to understand. I mean, no, it just means that you need to learn to visualize things simple. Like if you can visualize this, if you can just practice a beanbag over and over until you can master the ability to subdivide an object and find that surface, if you can do this and actually draw a little peanut and subdivide it, then you can draw anything. You can draw a face because now you have segments in which you can apply your imagination to. Right? You can map things out because now you have a structure in which you can literally just go in and have fun with. You're not drawing out of guessing anymore. You would be drawing out of knowledge, and with that knowledge comes like the ability to draw whatever you want. I can't visualize things. I can't see things in my head that way to have a reference. This is how you learn. If you constantly tell yourself you can't do something, you're not going to be able to do it. But if you practice doing it, because it's not easy. If this was easy, everybody would do it. Okay? Everybody would do it if this was easy. It's not easy. Creating art is not easy. It's not an easy path. It's not like like a career that you choose when like nothing else works. Art is incredibly hard. And doing art in a competent level is insanely hard. It's a competitive field that everybody wants to get into, and it's not something that everybody can do. So when you can't do it, you need to practice and force yourself to learn these things. Because if you just tell yourself, oh, I just can't do it, you're never going to do it. You're never going to be able to do it because you keep telling yourself you can't. That's a self-defeating mentality, and it's just going to hinder your growth and your ability to be a more competent artist because you keep telling yourself you can't. Practicing with the intent to learn and then just drawing is two different things. Okay? You keep telling yourself you have a broken brain, guess what? You're going to believe it. I don't think you have a broken brain at all. I promise you, it took me about 20 years to be where I am right now, and I drew like a 10-year-old when I started my career. The only difference is I never told myself I couldn't. I just told myself it would take a little bit more time to get there. And I focused on actually learning how to do that. I don't like feeling like I got defeated. I don't care if your doctors told you that. If you're able to draw from reference, you're able to draw from memory. And if you can't draw from memory, then just carry references everywhere you go. Fuck it. Just draw that. Just draw from like references every time. Who cares? If that's the way that you feel that you're going to get better, then do that. I promise you eventually you'll be able to draw from memory because you can only draw from reference so much before you memorize how to draw something. So, if you believe that you are broken and you don't have any way other than reference to do anything, which is completely irrational, then do that. Just carry references with you. Carry an iPad. Carry your phone. Have a reference at any given point and then just draw more. That's the goal. That's the solution. If you feel so determined to say that you're broken, then the solution is just to carry references. You know, I'm colorblind, but I still color. I might do it wrong, but I fix it with, going online and changing the tones and making sure that I like double check everything. You know, there's always a solution to to a problem. It's us wanting to actually solve it that's the problem. And most of us just want an easy way out. Like, oh, I'm broken. I'm a victim. Now I don't have to do this. No. No. Don't find yourself victimized. Find yourself empowered. Like, do something about it instead of, just saying that you can't. That's the problem with, like, people nowadays, man. Like, everybody just wants an easy app. Everybody just wants an easy out for shit. Like, if it's not simple and, like, easy, then people just give up. And then, that's just so weird to me. Like, people don't want to work hard anymore. Like, it's insane. Like, the art field, I'm saying not everyone is going to be able to do it. I just said that. I literally just said that. I said that my path is not necessarily the only way to do it. Like, people just like to complain. I literally said that. I'm just giving you a real point of view on how you are viewing yourself. You're viewing yourself as a victim, and literally, like, nothing I say is going to change your mind. So don't worry about it. Like, you do you, Bo. You do you, boo. You do you. I'm just trying to help you. Okay, so let's break down the torso from the side, okay? So if we have our rib cage and we have our pelvic bone and we're looking at this from the side, the beauty of having a character like this is that whenever you break it down, it already gives you a natural perspective, right? So one part is pointing slightly up, one part's pointing slightly down. So after you give yourself a little plane or a horizon line, you can create a one-point perspective plane really quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then from there, you can start mapping out which direction you want your body to look at. Let's say that we want our shoulders to be pointing back. So we're going to map our two sides of our rib cage, where our shoulders are, connected to our clavicle and the back of our spine, which creates a baseball diamond. This is going to go to where our head goes. So our head would be like right here. And if we, if you guys remember the neck lesson that we did, you'll understand that the clavicle connects to the back of the ears, and then that one connects to the shoulder ones. So we have our shoulders right here. Our rib cage would be coming in this way. And then our undies would be going around, and our pelvis seems to be turning back that way, like back into perspective. So I'm just going to give them underwear and push my pelvis back a little bit. And just like that, you have a fun little rib cage. Just add your muscles. Like we said, the shoulder, pectorals, arms, right? We layer them. Shoulders, pecs, and then arm comes out of that. When we're drawing quickly, baseball diamond for the top of the neck, shoulder points, rib cage, shoulder connects to the middle of your collarbone, and your pectorals come from inside. So when you're drawing muscles really quickly, it's very easy to just map them out like that. I will forever struggle with the head and hands. Why? Hands are difficult, let me put you that. But heads are relatively easy. Once you understand that it's not a simple cylinder, it's not a simple sphere, right? When you're drawing a face, you got to remember that the head is a lot more complicated than a lot of people give it credit for. There's like flat surfaces, there's jagged surfaces, there's sunken in surfaces, there's protruding surfaces, there's like parts that pull, push, and, you know, like elements like lips, eyelids, eyebrows, muscles, everything like that leads to a very complex shape for the face. Right? It's not an easy shape to learn. But if we think about it in a certain way, it becomes a little bit easier. I've talked about the way that I draw the faces and heads all the time, but I'm going to explain it really fast right here so you guys can get another viewpoint on it. I like to start my faces with a shape, either like a rounded square or like a little circle or sphere. Normally just a way to indicate the top of the head. It could be literally a box with a little point. I did that with this one. It could be this, but the same concept is going to apply. I'm essentially just drawing the top part of my face without the jaw. So I'm drawing this part. Okay? That's what I'm going to be focusing on every single time I draw a face. The jaw will come later because that jaw moves. The jaw is the only part that moves out of the entire face, really. So therefore, we are going to draw it separately at first. Right? So we're going to keep that apart. So the first thing we're going to draw is we're going to draw where our nose is going to be. And that's going to be a little tiny divot followed by where your eyebrows are going to go. And that's going to give you a little mask. We'll draw a couple, just so you guys see how like different shapes will work with this. Okay? It can be 3/4. As 3/4, just make sure that you don't draw it all the way to the edge because otherwise you eliminate the side of your face. The top of your mask is going to give you your temples. Okay, from here to the back of the head is the temple. This is going to represent your eye sockets. So within this is going to be where your eyes are. So you can draw your nose bridge going into your nose canal, dividing that shape more. Okay, if you want your nose canal, if you want your nose to be really wide, just draw your nose canal a little bit wider. Let's draw another one here. So if you want your nose to be really wide, just draw your nose canal very wide with your nose bridge really wide, and then your nose is going to be really wide. Okay? You'll see in a second. Like your nose is going to come in here in this little gap that you drew. So however big you want your nose, and it's just a little diamond, remember? It's just a little diamond. That's all you need to draw to map out your nose. It's going to fall within that area. Okay? Now, since you already have your nose bridge, and you already have your eyebrow line, this bottom part is your cheekbone line. So therefore, your jaw is going to start coming out behind your cheekbones, depending on how big you want your cheekbones. If you want like super high, strong cheekbones, then your mouth comes in from a little bit inside of here. Okay? That way it looks like you have super high cheekbones. If you don't want super high cheekbones, just bring it to the edge and bring them down. If you want a super big, thick person, don't even give them cheekbones. Give them just give them like flesh, right? So this is going to determine how thick your cheekbone is, how big of your cheekbone. So from here, I like to draw the mouth underneath this. Remember, the mouth is curving, and the more it opens, the less of the chin you're going to see because your mouth rotates, right? We talked about the mouth, is it last stream? Yeah. We talked about the mouth last stream. as how you open your mouth. Where's the hinge? Where's the hinge graphic that I did? Okay, here we go. So when you open your mouth, it opens and it rotates into your neck. So therefore, when you open your mouth, it's hinging back. So let's say this is the top of your mouth. When you open your mouth, it's rotating back. So you see a little bit less of the chin every single time that you open your mouth more. So let's say if this person's just barely opening their mouth, their chin would be going back a little bit. Okay? And then from there, I connect it to the sides depending on how fat or how like fit I want the character to be. From there, the next step is figuring out what style I want for the eyes. So the eyes, well, let's draw them out on the other ones too. This one will be a little tiny chin. So we'll draw the mouth right there. Yay. And then this one, let's give them like a mega chin. Big mouth. Okay. So you can see how it's very easy to just change the character just super simply by just changing the chin. Now, the eyeballs will fit within the eye sockets, right? As long as they're within this area, they will look okay. You can have them close to each other. You can have them apart from each other. It's going to create an accurate depiction of an eyeball. Now, this area right here is essentially creating the eye socket. So wherever your eye is, that is going to lead these lines towards that, right? Imagine that this is like a funnel. So your eye socket is a cavity in your face. So your eyes are sunken into this cavity, right? So that is how you start visualizing the shadows that come here, right? How your cheekbone goes around, carves in. But more than anything, this is going to lead to your eyelids and the styling inside of it. So let's say you want to have like a very sultry looking eye. You don't have to stick with this being completely just the eye. Like you don't have to draw it all cartoony like this all the time. You can literally just go around your eyeball shape and create eyelids in the styling that you want. And it's going to provide you your eyelids already because it's this eyeball. And then you can just style it in any way you want. Like I have mentioned before, I'm teaching you guys a process, not a style. So you can adapt this to any way you want. And it's going to look fine. Okay? You don't have to stick to a certain style. This will be on YouTube probably like about an hour after we're done here. So, yeah, you guys will have the option to go check this out again. And you guys will have the option to, rewatch it and save it and revisit it anytime you guys feel like you need to actually, refresh yourself on this. As long as you guys are okay with me talking, there's a bunch of resources out there that you guys can look up to. I create a bunch of information for the masses. Like the reason that I started teaching everyone is because I struggled very heavily when it came down to creating art. I struggled in my career immensely. I didn't view things the same way everybody else did. So therefore it was a struggle for me to be able to figure out, very simple concepts. So at one point I decided that I was just going to try to learn things on my own. And that led to me doing everything that you guys see me doing. So the way that I learn is in a little bit, it's going to sound a little selfish, but I learn by teaching you guys. So the way that I function, the way that I work is that by learning to deconstruct things for other people, I'm able to be better at it. No, I'm not taking lives. Stop asking to be live. I'm not gonna take people live. All you guys do is just look and go like, "Hi, hi." I'm like, "You got a question?" No. Hi. All you guys want is attention, and I get it. That's fine. But if I'm giving a lesson, don't interrupt it because you're just interrupting the workflow of everybody else. If people are drawing with me, they're trying to learn, and you just interrupt it by trying to like get attention, then it's just a hindrance, and I don't appreciate it. So please stop asking for being live. Sorry, that message came out garbled. I'm just saying that you explain it so simply that and you don't bowl. You know, like I feel like if people get sugar coated too much, they don't learn. So if you don't tell people exactly what they're doing wrong sometimes, and you give them a path out of that, if you don't give them a path out of that, people are just going to be stuck in the same, like things over and over. But if you provide information and then you provide people the option to learn on their own, it tends to work out a lot better for them, right? It's not about like teaching a man to fish. Is literally teaching a man how to create a fishing rod so they can fish themselves at any given point and teach themselves how to do it. That is my process. I'm teaching you guys how to learn on your own so that you don't have to depend on other people to do it for you. Because I know how bad teachers are sometimes. I know how bad teachers can be and how can it can affect your growth as an artist if you get taught the wrong thing. Like you can literally be like, you can deviate from like an entire goal, like life path, if you just get taught how to do things wrong and you don't know how to correct that later. Okay, so we are coming close to the end of this page. I don't see much more other space that I can draw in, but let's zoom in. Let's draw a couple faces here and there. Or like we talked about feet the other day as well. So if you guys want to learn about feet, that is a very, very good lesson that I did. We talked about mouths the other day as well, and how you can see them as a little rubber band, and create fun animated faces, with awesome facial expressions as long as you can visualize things, in a certain way. And yeah, I think overall, we did a pretty good lesson today, guys. I think we accomplished a lot today. We learned a little bit about anatomy. We learned how to map things out a little bit better. We drew arms and figured that out. We talked about the abs and the rib cage and how to subdivide things. Some people were very annoying and asking questions and like trying to tell themselves that they suck, even though I don't believe you do. But, people are going to believe whatever they want. So, at one point you can't really tell people they're good or they're doing great when they believe themselves to not have been doing that. So you can only help people as much as they allow themselves to be helped. So I have provided you guys with a bunch of fun resources, fun exercises that you guys can practice this week. If you guys do practice anything, you guys get anything good out of what I do, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can, first of all, get access to all these lessons the day after I stream them. Go follow me on Instagram. That's where I ask for questions and resources, and that is mostly where my community is. So if you guys want to join me there, I would love you guys to be there. I have been streaming on TikTok a lot more because it allows me to save the streams so I can upload them later. But eventually I will be going on to Twitch, and I will be streaming directly from there twice a day. So thank you all so much. We had about 8.9 thousand people on our stream. Now, do me a favor and hit that little heart button. Here, aim for this little heart right here. Hit them right here. If you guys can land it right there, I will give you guys something cool. Oh, it's so close, so close. But anyways, hope you all have a fantastic Friday. I hope that you all learned a little bit. I hope you're all a little bit more inspired. And come join us probably tonight for another stream. And I'm going to Vegas this weekend on Sunday. So if any of my followers are in Vegas and want to go drink and draw, let me know. I would absolutely love that. And I would love to have some friendly faces to meet up with. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Love you all. Lesson is over. Ba-ba! Let's close this sketchbook up. My sketchbook that I'm using tonight is the Danique sketchbooks. These are amazing sketchbooks. I highly recommend them. I'm using just a normal big pen, just a normal cheap pen, and a cheap highlighter. Okay? That's all you really need to practice everything that I teach. Have a wonderful day. Gloves off. And see you all next time.